Hi everyone, welcome back or welcome to Astrology with Georgie. Now in this video we have got a bit of a more serious topic today, but I am going to be looking at the chart of Liam Payne, his natal chart and his transit chart of his death. This is for astrological educational purposes only, okay? This is helping people understand how astrology plays out. If this is not the type of content that you want to watch, please do not watch this video because I am going to be talking about his death. I know this is an extremely sensitive topic right now. I have been really upset about this. I think a lot of people across the world, this has really touched them emotionally. Obviously, it's very sad. As an astrologer, it's my job to help you guys understand how astrology plays out. And so that is my sole purpose of this video, is not to make light of the situation. Now, another disclaimer, if you have, any similar placements, any similar transits, please know it does not mean you are going to die. There is nothing that says in a natal chart you're going to die young. Not that I believe anyway. I believe we make our own luck. I believe we have a choice of free will. It's just unfortunate that Liam was in a place where he obviously was not mentally well. I don't think this was an accident. I think it's obviously quite well known that he struggled a little bit with his mental health. But yeah, that's just a disclaimer. I don't want people to worry. We're just going to kind of have a look at the planets in his chart and see what's going on, see what's been going on for the transit chart as well of the time that he unfortunately passed away. Now, before we get into it, if you do get some value from this, please let me know your comments. If you have anything that you spot that you want to add, please feel free to add. I've actually not written any notes for this. I'm literally just putting the chart up and going through it as I'm talking to you. This isn't rehearsed, so it might be that I've kind of miss things out or don't notice things. So if you if you're into astrology and you can spot anything else, please let me know in the comments. Share your thoughts. It helps other people learn. And if you get some value from this, please give it a thumbs up, pushes the channel out, and give me a follow so you don't miss any future content. Subscription, not follow. I am also on TikTok and I also do personal readings. If you would like your own chart read, then please take a look at the link in my bio or on the information on here. So now this is Liam's natal chart. Now this is a C rating chart. It's on it's off of AstroSeek. C ratings, I'm not sure where the information came from. I don't know if somebody has rectified this chart, so we've got to take that with a pinch of salt. However, to me it would make perfect sense. This chart it speaks to him, so we'll just presume that it's accurate, but just know it's not an AA rating, so we can't say definitely that this was his time of birth. So first of all, the first thing that you notice in this chart is obviously he's a Scorpio rising. You can see in his eyes he's a Scorpio rising. He has those really intense, piercing eyes. Now, Scorpio rising is somebody that Scorpio on the ascendant is just how somebody approaches the world. He also has Pluto on the ascendant. So he's very Plutonian, okay? This is somebody that feels extremes. This is somebody that experiences life in a very intense way. It's a water sign. It's a deep, intense sign of transformation. People with Scorpio on the first house often have transformations throughout their life. We can say, as joining One Direction, one of the most famous bands in the entire world, that was a huge transformation for him. Now the issue with Scorpio and Pluto is these people feel everything so extremely intensely that sometimes this can manifest as kind of negative emotion, okay? So we can see people a lot of the time with mental health issues that have certain Scorpio placements or certain Pluto placements, because Pluto intensifies everything. It's a very intense sign. He was probably a very intense person. And the way he approached the world, it was in a, he's picking up everything. He's feeling everything, and he might not have necessarily being able to really kind of think about his thoughts and think about his emotions, or he might have been able to think about them, but he might not have been able to really come to terms with what he was feeling. Moon in Aquarius it's a detached moon sign, so he would have felt everything with the Scorpio rising. Moon in Aquarius, it doesn't quite know what to do with that. Moon in Aquarius doesn't deal with negative emotions very well. Aquarius is an air sign. It's thought-based, okay? It's more of an anxious moon sign because it's an air sign. But with his moon in the fourth house, he would have felt everything internally, but he could have struggled to process these emotions, okay, in a healthy manner. Now, moon in the fourth house is somebody that has an attachment to their home, somebody that is nostalgic, connected to their family, close with their family often. But it's somebody with their moods up and down. You're feeling everything in the fourth house. It's a water house, okay? So it is emotional. But like I said, in the sign of Aquarius, a little bit detached, and just doesn't know necessarily how to process their emotions that well. He also has Saturn in the fourth house. This again is his emotions, his home life. Now, interestingly, I don't know what his family were like. I don't know if his parents are together. I'm not sure. But Saturn in the fourth can often cause emotional tension, because Saturn is our restrictor, our teacher. It's the cold planet. So there can also be fears around your home life, interestingly, fears of kind of poverty or losing your home or some sense. And this could have actually been some sort of driving factor towards his fame, towards his motivation. But what's interesting here is that we have a T-square, and this is one of the issues, I would say, or challenging aspects of his chart, because the T-square, it's 3 points of tension between Pluto in his first, this is his identity, his power, squaring off with Saturn in the fourth, this is his emotions, perhaps his desire to be at home or to tap into his emotions, is squaring off with Pluto, this need for power, also squaring off with his sun, Khyron, and Mercury. So he's got a Sun, Mercury, Cazimi. Okay, so this is when the Mercury is so close to the sun, it's said to be in the heart of the sun. Now, this is a very, very creative placement. This is what has made him a very talented songwriter, singer. Mercury rules the voice. It's the thoughts, it's the thought processes, it's how you process information. So being in the heart of the sun, this is somebody extremely creative, somebody that wants to be of service to the world, Virgo, okay? Very close to the MC. He was known, he was shining. The sun is where you shine. He was obviously, this is a sign of fame. Chiron is here as well. Okay, so there's some sort of wound going on here. Now, squaring Pluto, this is, in this T-square, so this is a point of tension. This would have given him extremely engulfing thoughts. When you have Pluto connected to your sun and your Mercury, your thinking, you can go down a rabbit hole of depressive thoughts. You can go down a rabbit hole of not being able to process your thoughts in a healthy way. Remember, Pluto is extreme. So it's extreme thought processes, dark thoughts, deep thoughts, thoughts of death, because Pluto rules death, okay? And it's in his first house. This is him, his identity, and squaring his sun and Mercury. On the one hand, this is going to give him a need to be in control, a need for power, that desire for fame, especially this whole thing here is squaring Pluto, his MC, his public image. But it's a point of tension, okay? So it's almost like, yes, he was famous, yes, he was in the public eye, but at what cost to his mental health? Now, and then this is opposing Saturn. So there's this opposition, this back and forth between being in the limelight and wanting to withdraw, being in the limelight and wanting to withdraw, or feeling negative emotions, Saturn in the fourth, but having to perform, having to do what your sun wants to do, which is shine and be in the limelight, but not being able to do that in a necessarily healthy way, which we now know. Now, because he's a Scorpio rising, the traditional ruler of this is Mars. Mars is in the 12th house, and this is 12th house placements are really common for celebrities, because the 12th house are things hidden. So when your chart ruler, your chart ruler, the planet that rules your first house, is directly showing the direction of your life, okay? Your chart ruler being in the 12th points towards you having to hide away, points towards you having to do things behind closed doors. He was literally talking on a podcast that I watched earlier, saying they were out on stage performing, then they're shut away. The manager shuts them away in the room. Out on stage performing, shut away. They're constantly having to hide because they were so famous. For the sake of their own protection, they're having to hide away. Mars in the 12th. So, the direction of his life, he's having to hide. He's having to be shut away. He's actually not got the freedom. The 12th house is confinement. He doesn't have the freedom that a young boy would need. The freedom to be able to do what you want to do. The freedom to be able to go to the shop and buy a pint of milk. He doesn't have that. He's being shut away. The 12th house is also escapism, self-sabotaging behaviors, self-undoing. With your chart ruler being in the 12th, when your mind is under pressure, you're going to turn to drink and drugs. He turned to drink and drugs in the space of confinement. The 12th house is escapism. This is how he escapes from the world, through drinking drugs. He was shut away. He ended up on the minibar. He got into this habit of drinking. Jupiter here is making this worse. Obviously, Jupiter, we know, is the planet of luck, opportunity, but unfortunately, it can also be, it also expands things and makes things worse. And Jupiter is squaring this Neptune-Uranus conjunction in his third house of the mind. So it's like Uranus in the third, changes within your thought patterns, sudden, unexpected thought processes, tension of the mind. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. This is your thought processes. In the third house, in Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, negative thinking, squaring Jupiter, your beliefs, and Mars, negative thinking, and changes within your thought processes. Now, this Mars and Jupiter, they're in the second decan here of Libra, which is actually also Saturn ruled. So again, it's not the most favorable placement for his chart ruler to be under the, it's not in the terms of, but it's in the second decan, which is ruled by Saturn, negative thinking. And you've got this square going on with these planets in his third house, his thoughts, negative thoughts. And he's feeling everything with this Scorpio rising. Scorpios feel everything. It can be a very explosive rising sign, especially as a child. These are huge explosive reactions because you're ruled by Mars and you don't know how to react. It's ups and downs, it's high highs, low lows. Now, what's also interesting about this chart is that he has Khyron at 29 degrees. Khyron is the wounded healer, the wound that cannot be healed. 29 degrees of his 10th house. 10th house is his career, his public image, his reputation. He was famous, okay? So on the one hand, he is working with this Khyron. He's got to his fame. But what's interesting is now the world is in mourning. The world is in pain because he's taken his life so early and he's gone so early, whether it was an accident, whether it's drug influenced, whether he fell over, whatever happened. You know, he was under the influence of alcohol, potentially medication, we don't know. But now the world is mourning because no one could save him. And it's really, really sad. And again, this Chiron is opposing this Saturn in the fourth house. So it's his inner world being in pain. Saturn in the fourth is speaking to your inner emotions. It's your fourth house is your core. It's what no one sees. Saturn here is like thinking, I'm in a lot of pain. Squaring Pluto. Pluto wants him to transform. It wants him to hold his power, but he can't because Saturn is in this tense aspect. There's this battle here, and that's what a T-square is all about. In order to work with a T-square, you need to come across to the opposite house. He needs to work on his relationships. I mean, these planets are kind of over to the left here in the 11th, so actually he could use the 7th and the 8th here to ease up this T-square. So that's developing relationships, and that's working on your own self-development, 8th house, in order to ease this up. He needed to be having therapy. He needed to be having one-on-one relationships, perhaps therapy, talking therapy, in order to alleviate this pain, this tension. Venus in the 10th, again, very attractive man. Venus is our looks, our appearance. In Leo, flirty, creative. He was loved by a lot of people. Apparently, he was very charming and very kind. This was helping him with his fame. But it's this Chiron at 29 degrees that I think, there is some sort of wound here. And actually, the industry wounded him. The industry was not there for him. He was, rose to fame so young, and I don't think obviously he could deal with it very well. And that's what this wound is pointing to. Now, what's interesting as well is that his South Node is in the 8th house, North Node in the 2nd. So South Node, he hasn't had his nodal return yet. He's only 31. He might be very much living in this 8th house, this depressing house, this deep feeling of everything. That's what the 8th house is. He's used to this energy of death. When you turn 36 and you have your nodal return, you're catapulted more towards your North Node. But what's also interesting is that North Node in the 2nd house, yes, it's working on your self-esteem, which he didn't quite do. However, it's also learning to earn your own money. So on the one hand, you could say that he completed his life path in terms of how much money he made. So perhaps his soul came here to make money, and therefore his soul journey was over because he achieved that. I mean, he obviously needed to work on his self-esteem and come away from the deeper, darker aspects of life, which is the South Node in the 8th house. Now we're going to look at his transit chart. This is the location chart, transit chart for the time of his death in the Buenos Aires, Argentina. What was going on at that moment? What exactly happened? The first thing I looked to was Mars. Mars is the planet of accidents, but Mars is actually trining his Pluto. So it's almost like it was too easy for him to die. That's what it sent. You know, Mars is his chart ruler. It was almost like it was too easy for him to do it. Exact trine between his chart ruler and Mars, but it's a trine. It's an easy flowing energy, which I just find crazy. Now, a huge part of this was the eclipses. He basically died on the full moon. The full moon was Thursday. He died, was it Wednesday night? Yeah, Wednesday night. Woke up to the news on the full moon. He's been the full moon was kind of the culmination of where he's been having his eclipses since the beginning of last year, 2023, in his health houses, physical health, mental health. 4 weeks ago-ish, he had a new moon in his 12th house of self-undoing mental health. Eclipses unfold over the next few weeks. He then had the full moon in Aries, physical health, and he dies. It's just shocking how these things quite literally play out. Now, Aries, moon was in Aries. It's impulsive emotions, impulsive decisions, just kind of feeling impatient about stuff, feeling frustrated. Somebody had said that he'd recently lost his record deal. I don't know if that's true. If that was true, there could have been these feelings of frustration. The full moon was squaring Mars in his 9th house of Cancer. This is bringing up emotions around his beliefs and around his direction in life. And interestingly, he was traveling, and this is the 9th house of travel. So it's like Mars is in the 9th house of travel, squaring off his health houses. Jupiter was retrograding in his 8th house of death. And what's also really interesting is that he was in an 8th house perfected year. Like, you can't even make it up. So annual perfections, basically, they count round every year of your life. Each segment of your chart gets highlighted, and that theme of charts, that theme of the house and the planet involved are really relevant that year. He was in an 8th house perfected year, and he dies. 8th house is the house of death and transformation. If you are in an 8th house perfected year right now, it doesn't mean you're going to die, guys. I'm just saying it does rule death. So the fact he's died while Jupiter is going backwards, it's almost like his luck had run out in this 8th house of death. What's Mercury doing during this time? Mercury is in his 1st house and squaring off with his Venus in the public eye. You know, his Venus, his relationships, tension here. I don't know whether he's had an argument with his girlfriend, also squaring his moon. So the planet of the year, 1st house, squaring his love planets, his moon, how he feels, his Venus, relationships. Pluto is also opposing his Venus. So I don't know whether he was having arguments with his girlfriend around this time, or there's some sort of jealousy or some sort of control or power struggles or manipulation going on here. But Pluto opposite your Venus is difficult for relationships. Okay. Now, what else can we see? Saturn in the 5th, like Saturn, the cold planet, in his 5th house of children. His poor child has now lost his dad. The 5th house is your fun, your self-expression. That has now come to an end because obviously he's died. Now, a huge part of this story is the fact he is also having a Uranus square Saturn. Saturn being in his 4th house of emotions. And I think it's exact, isn't it? Yeah. 26 degrees, 26 degrees. Uranus is unexpected events. Saturn is our goals, our boundaries, our structure. Uranus coming along, suddenly shaking something up. It's like a sudden change, and it's coming from him. You know, sudden change coming from him. It's squaring his emotions, his family, his home life. Everything is being affected by this sudden impulsive decision. That's a challenging aspect. Just sudden changes in the structure of your life. Terribly sad. Khyron squaring his Uranus Neptune conjunction in the 3rd house of his mind. This is his mental health. It's his mental health, not thinking straight. Khyron is the wound. A wound in his thought processes under this energy. It's so sad. Now, I have talked quite fast there, and I think I'm going to stop there because I didn't want this to be a really long video. I'm not going to do his progressions and all that. Um, this time, I just wanted to touch on the transits and what we can see here. Like I said, if there's anything else that you can see that you want to mention, please let me know in the comments. Let's have a chat about it. My heart goes out to his family, his friends, and his fans and the whole world. It's very, very tragic, and I really hope that he is at peace in heaven now. So I will see you guys in the next one. Sorry that it's been a bit more of a depressing one, but I just wanted to share my thoughts on this. See you in the next one. Take care.